Congratulations to CJ McCollum. The Portland Trailblazers guard is now the president of the NBA Players Association after serving on its board for the last couple of years. McCollum takes over for Chris Paul, who had the opportunity to run for another term. However, Chris Paul has decided after 8 years it is enough. CP3 putting this out on Instagram. What an experience, what a journey. Grateful and proud to have served as your president for the past 8 years. Thank you to the entire union and staff, especially Michelle Roberts and CJ McCollum. You got next. So,
all right, let's welcome in veteran NBA podcaster CJ McCollum. CJ, what's good, man? How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you again, man.
Great to see you as well. We should just start with some recent news about you. You were elected as our union's president, the NBPA's president. What sort of made you want to take on this task? Because it is, I mean, it's a nice title, but it is, from talking to CP the last 8 years, it is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a great title. I just want to go on the record saying that I don't get paid for this. It's a lot of work, but I think for me, it was figuring out what type of legacy I want to leave behind, and also figuring out how I can make the game better for the players that are going to come after me. I've seen how CP approached the game. I've seen the impact that he had, not only on the court, but off the court, in terms of organizing certain things, obviously looking out for the players that are now retired from a health benefit standpoint, to tighten up our pensions, to things of that nature. And I thought, if he's going to step down, I don't want us to take a step back. Like, I want to make sure that, especially while I'm playing, and then after that, the younger players are able to kind of build on what CP, what Dre, what those guys have done before us. And it just felt like a no-brainer for me, having been on the executive committee for 4 years. I learned a lot. I've seen how much work, time, effort goes into this stuff, the Zoom calls, the meetings, the conversations that we have to have behind closed doors from a community standpoint of understanding execution in a COVID type of season. And I'm ready for the challenge. And it's funny, it's ironic that I take on more responsibility now as I'm married, and my wife's looking at me like, another phone call? Like, really? Another Zoom call? Seriously? So needless to say that I've committed to this. I'm looking forward to doing it, but also looking forward to uplifting whoever's going to come after me.
Is it a thankless job? You've been around on the executive committee long enough. Do you feel like it's a thankless job? And by that, I mean, look, in the media, I think CP gets the credit that he deserves for the amount of stuff that he's accomplished as the president of our union. I'm not sure our average peer fully appreciates the amount of work and the amount of stuff that he's gotten done.
There's no way they can appreciate it because they don't understand it and they don't see it. Like, I didn't even appreciate it to that extent because I just thought, like, oh, he's the president, like he's handling business. But then I started joining the calls, the time of the calls. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Michelle might send a text, hey, like, this is a very, very important topic for us. We need to address this. Can you get on the phone today? You know what I mean? It could be a Saturday, it could be a Friday, it could be a Thursday. You might have a game. I've seen CP. I've been on the table with my movement specialist, Devin, on Zoom calls. CP's on the table with his person. Somebody else is in the weight room with their headphones in, getting ready for a game because we have topics we have to discuss, we have to cover, we may have to vote on something. And then you got to go back to your team and get a vote, which is, as you know, it's very hard to do. Guys aren't very responsive. So it's a very thankless job in a sense of, I don't think players understand how much work, how much time, how much effort CP put into this, and how much work, time, and effort I will put in this to make sure that we're in the best position to succeed.
What's your first priority?
My first priority is to fill the seat, executive director position, that role, figuring out who's going to potentially come in after Michelle. I think that's the first order of business. And obviously, I think it's public information now that our president of Think 450 will be stepping down as well. So that will be my second order of business.
Two hard people to replace right there.
I walked into
I mean,
the best situation possible.
I know. Well, it's just, I've seen a number of changes, both economically, because obviously our salaries have been greater and the game has grown, and we figured out ways to monetize things like our licensing, but also the bridge program that we have, that takes us from the end of our retirement days to our pension, making sure we have health care after we're done playing, making sure retired players have health care, this screening program that Joe Rogowski put in place. Like, there's so many things that have happened since Michelle took over. And, you know, to your point, like that, I get to the end of my career here, you know, towards the end, I should say, but towards the end of my career here, and like you obviously hope that you have left the game in better hands than you're, you know, in a better place than when you started. And it's a huge concern of mine. And I was initially involved a little bit in the union my first 3 or 4 years. But I just, you know, it is such a time commitment, bro.
Huge time commitment. I think I appreciate the job. I appreciate the title. I appreciate the work that goes into it. And I understand and expect to not get any of the credit when we do things well, which is completely fine. Like, I'm comfortable in that role. And to be blamed when things don't go the way that certain people, certain players, certain organizations, certain agents, certain whatevers may feel. Like, and I'm comfortable with that. As long as I'm doing the best job I can, as long as I'm trying to get as many players engaged and involved as possible, I can live with whatever comes with this job. Because I know at the end of the day, my heart of hearts, like, I'm really invested in this and I'm putting a lot of fucking time in. So like, the results will be there. As you said before, like, you've seen the change and salaries, you've seen the change, and, you know, us taking back our rights. Like, I'm really trying to put together a real situation where players are making money on and off the court, where players are able to do a lot of things that they want to do, not just because of basketball money, but because they're investing in the right places, because they have the right resources. Because I'm tired of seeing guys go broke. I'm tired of seeing guys losing out on certain situations, because there's so many business opportunities available to you. You just have to vet the right ones, have the right people around you, and actually make an effort.
Yeah. We're going to get into another one of your business ventures a little bit later, and obviously we're going to talk a ton of hoops. But for the uninformed and maybe